Anything missing? Yeah, something's missing, all right. Somebody decided they needed our radiator more than we did. So, we've got one. It's here, but it's, you know, for a 3/4 ton, 1 ton. And this is not a 3/4 ton, 1 ton. I think the 1 ton's worth 31. And the 40 is definitely bigger. So basically the replacement radiator, all the bolts and everything line up, but it's just a little too close to the fan. So, and the whole replacement radiator is made out of aluminum, so I figure it's mostly all related to the 235 versus 292, because this is a 292 in here now, and in 1959 there was no 292. It was a 235 dipper crank, meaning that it didn't have a pressurized oil system. It just had dippers that splashed oil around, kind of like a air-cooled small engine does nowadays. So this is not something that leaves the property, but it just stays on the property. Amazingly, they didn't take the battery. I'm kind of surprised. Truck's so old that it rusted through on 2 of the 3 gas tanks, and the 3rd gas tank, somebody decided to take an axe to it to try and get the gas out of it. Luckily they didn't light themselves on fire taking an axe to a metal gas tank. People are really geniuses, I guess. But to drive less than 5 miles a year, the little boat gas tank does the trick. So I can just drain it out and fill it once a year. Or, well, since we get it without the ethanol in it, it would probably last for a lot of years inside a sealed boat gas container. So this is what we have to have for the Oregon Department of Forestry. Some of this is not required, some of it is. They require 1/4-inch nozzle to be able to fill, I believe it's a 5-gallon bucket through a 1/4-inch nozzle, and it's either 15 or 10 seconds, I forget which it is. And if you're mobile, they only require you to have a 300-gallon tank. If you're stationary, then they require the 500-gallon tank. And one of the twins to this engine, the water pump gave up on it, and that's the engine that I have on my wood splitter now. That's why I have a blue. You know, you buy a long block Harbor Freight engine, they're always black. That's why mine's blue, is it was original to the water pump, and the water pump gave up, and I repurposed it to the wood splitter. You know, basic firefighting tools, fire extinguisher. I don't think they really require the backpack sprayers, but we have them. And then basically this is if I were to actually need to prime the pump, because if you're pumping out of a water source that's obviously at a lower elevation than the pump, you need to be able to prime the pump to get the water into the tank. Or I could just take it and I could refill the backpack sprayers so that they could be used again with a new tank. But that's basically the minimum requirements. Yeah, they'd probably like us to have a better pump, but because they have a pressure requirement now. But if you don't have any gauges and they can't see the actual pressure, they got to go off the old standard. So since we don't have any pressure gauges, they got to go off the amount of time to fill a 5-gallon bucket through a 1/4-inch nozzle. So anyway, that's the one gas tank. I think this is the one. Yeah, that's the one the dodo birds took an axe to get the gasoline out of it. That was when we had a Honda pump with a gear pump on it, and when they hit the gas tank with the axe, they also took that Honda fire pump with the gear positive displacement water pump. So yeah, this thing would not, short of an emergency where there was a fire in the immediate community, or somebody that absolutely desperately needed to get water to livestock in an emergency because they got a well failure or whatever crazy reason somebody can come up with, frozen water pipes, etc., etc., would be the only reason this thing would leave private property and go on a public road. So can't really think of much anything else to talk about. It's not really anything pretty to look at, but it serves a purpose. And you know, if there was an actual emergency and I had to get ridiculously close to a fire and, you know, to put the fire out, you know, I wouldn't be worried about this truck. I mean, the purpose of putting out the fire is more important than the truck. So if it caught on fire and at the same time the fire was put out, it really wouldn't be much of a loss. It'd be a pain in the butt, you know, I'd have to come up with another truck to replace it. But this thing's so old and so down to earth basic, you could probably just rewire the engine, and practically in the summertime, you know, if it was an all-out emergency, I could just drive the darn thing around on the rims because I'm not really going anywhere with it. That's the other thing, is if we ever had to put tires on this, we'd have to come up with new rims, because tire shops will have a hissy fit over split rims. And I believe there's many different types of split rims that were made over the years, and I believe this is what they refer to as the suicide style, because the locking ring is not really held in by that much. So it is actually a dump bed that is functioning. So when the water tank gets down low, I can actually, you know, tip it up to a 20 some odd degree angle and get the vast majority of the last few inches. Because if I was sitting on a hill and the truck was pointed down the hill, you know, from that point forward, I would lose, you know, it wouldn't take much of it for that. And I can tilt the bed and then with the bed tilted, then I would be just a little tiny bit of water left in the tank. So, little details. I mean, I'm sure it could use plenty of work and various things to make it like, you know, functioning brakes, but it's a 4+2 transmission setup. Luckily the 2-speed in the rear end defaults to low, so I can basically crawl around at the speed of a tracked machine in its deepest first gear and reverse, and pretty much go anywhere I need to go in the summertime, at least when it's dry, and have water basically anywhere on the place that we need to have it. There are some gradients that once I was up there and I were to use the water, I'd probably want to empty the water tank before I came back down the grade, so that I wouldn't go as fast going down the hill, because I would be obviously significantly lighter. But other than little details like that, you know, it's functional. Everybody says that thing can actually run, and I'm like, yeah, it runs. It don't look like it, but it runs. Wow, never thought that thing actually would run. It looks like it's broken. Well, it kind of is. It kind of isn't. So anyway, I can keep jawing away here talking about this crazy old thing. Just absolutely stinks that somebody took the radiator out of this stupid thing. It's more trouble than, well, it was a stupid copper radiator. That's why they took it. It was a copper, an original copper radiator from the 1950s, and that's why they took it, is they could get, you know, who knows, you know, maybe they actually got $10 out of it. Probably more like $5 worth of metal out of the stupid radiator. But I think that's enough yakking. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.